All right, so we'll record the session so that we have something to get back to later. So that's the reason we always record it. So it's a pleasure to have all of us here again today. My name is Johnson Wala, and as our culture has been, we start with a brief presentation. After the presentation, then we open the floor for others to share their experience and knowledge about the topic. So today, 30th October, our topic is Behind Bars, Legal Implications for Safety Officers. So we'll be exploring those major implications that a safety officer could fall into in the line of his responsibility while discharging his duties. Okay, so we are not just hiding under somebody, but there is a time that it will come to that we have to answer for whatever happens in the workplace. So not all the time, but those instances are what we'll be looking at today. And at the end, we'll be advising ourselves, especially those who have been in the field for a long time. We'll take time to advise ourselves and advise other younger ones on how to stay out of the legal implications. Okay, that is the major thing we'll be looking at today. Okay, so let's begin. So the major thing, what are the major reasons why we need to understand the legal implications of our profession? Because we have the mandate of keeping the workplace safe. So our mandate, that is the major reason why we were employed. Other workers or other employees have other day-to-day activities that keep them busy. But while those activities are going on, it becomes our responsibility to ensure that those activities are completed safely. Okay, now, are there legal implications if we fail at any point in time to carry out our activities or to carry out our responsibilities as dedicated to us? Yes, there are legal responsibilities, there are legal implications. In as much as the ISO 45001 have said that the employer is responsible for health and safety. That means the accountability of health and safety lies on the employer. That does not exonerate the safety officers in the event of an accident. Okay, remember, the responsibility can be delegated. So the employer can prove beyond reasonable doubt that they have delegated the responsibility of managing health and safety in the workplace to you, the safety officer or the safety manager. So if that is proven, then you might be the one taking the entire bullet. So we'll take it gradually. We'll look at when the state becomes personal. We'll look at in those jurisdictions or at the point where it becomes an individual liability, because majorly health and safety issues or health and safety management is a corporate responsibility. That is the employer's responsibility. Okay. Now, but at a point, it becomes an individual responsibility. So we are going to look at those instances. Then we are going to also look at the safety officers' personal responsibilities and duties, especially duty of care. So legal duty of care exists as a safety officer. So we are going to look at some of those instances. Then the risk, when the risk becomes corporate and when it's individual liability. So we are going to also differentiate when you can go to jail or when they can be able to differentiate you from the company. because it has been said that the employer is responsible for health and safety. So a time will come when we'll no longer be looking for employer, we'll be looking for individuals. Okay, maybe the director, maybe the manager, the project manager, the safety officer. So there's an instance where the corporate coverage or the corporate liability shifts and it goes to individual liabilities. So let's begin with the legal framework. Okay, so in legislation, occupational health and safety acts or occupational health and safety legislations are the major legal bindings through which you can be prosecuted. Each country or each region have their own legal regulations, okay, as instructed by ILO Convention C155. It instructed all the ratified countries, all the countries that ratified this convention, to establish a legal framework for management of health and safety. So every country or every region have that framework. So that is the framework, that is the legal framework that you are going to be prosecuted on, depending on the country or depending on the location where that incident or the accident happens. Okay, then the next legal framework or the legal backup through which you can be prosecuted is known as the duty of care. Okay, so every employee, every worker, even employers have duty of care. You have that responsibility to protect individuals in your workplace. Okay, then the duty of care becomes very obvious on safety officers because it is regarded that safety officers have no other responsibility apart from looking out for hazards and looking out for a risk to workers. So you see that the duty of care becomes more pronounced on safety officers. Every other employee has duty of care, but they can prove beyond reasonable doubt that they were busy with other activities. They were busy with their own delegated activities, that they do not have time to exercise extensively their duty of care. But for safety officers, you cannot be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt that you were busy with other activities, that you could not exercise your duty of care in protection of a worker that would have prevented him from getting injured. Okay, so the general duty of care applies to everybody, but when it comes to health and safety officers or safety officers, it is difficult for you to prove that you are busy or you are taking care of other things, that you are not able to exercise your duty of care to prevent someone from getting injured, because it is assumed that you do not have any other responsibility apart from preventing injuries, preventing incidents. So this is another legal framework or legal backing through which you can be prosecuted if somebody gets injured or somebody gets killed at work. Okay, so other legal standards through which you can be prosecuted are the regulations and the standards, okay, that you are depending on the industry where you operate. So those standards that is applicable to you, if any of them get neglected or are not applied. For instance, personal protective equipment regulations, okay, machine guard regulations. So these regulations, which have stated the control measures or the recommended control measures that could prevent incident or accident in the workplace. So these regulations and standards can also be a legal backing through which you can be prosecuted in the event of any accident or any death that is recorded in your workplace. Okay, so at what point does this liability shift from the employer, okay, from the company to individuals? At what point will we say, because ISO 45001 says that the employer is responsible for management of health and safety, okay? And for all of us, we know that employer means company. So if you, maybe the name of your company is ABC, so they are talking about the company, that's ABC is responsible for management of health and safety. So at what point will this responsibility, or can this responsibility be shifted away from the employer and it goes straight to individual liabilities? So at one point is when there is willful violation. When you as a safety officer knowingly ignore established safety laws and internal procedures, when you willingly ignore those things and maybe you are having in mind that it's not your responsibility, or you are busy with something else, but you knowingly violated that established safety law or internal procedure. Also, when there is gross negligence, okay, when you voluntarily or in reckless abandon, you disregard your duty of care. Just like I said before, that the duty of care for safety officers is more pronounced than other employees in the workplace. So at the point that you have a gross negligence over that your duty of care, okay, when you see somebody going at height, walking without any fall protection, and you simply look out, or you simply remove your eyes, you have neglected your responsibility in terms of duty of care. So at that point, you are legally liable individually, no more company or no more employer responsibility. Now, when there is falsification of records, this is another point where that liability shifts from the employer to individual. When you falsify records, for instance, inspections that were supposed to be carried out, you simply use your checklist and tick, tick, tick. And when a verification was made on the site, it becomes different from what you have on paper. So at the point when you falsify records, when you alter training logs, you alter your inspection records, the incident data as well, you alter it. Maybe you've recorded 20 incidents and you willingly removed 15 and left only 5. And audit saw only that. So at that point, you have falsified records. So the liability have shifted at that time from the employer to you individually. So whatever the law can do to you will be exercised. It's no more to the employer. Now, another instance is when there is failure to act. When you have all the authority to stop the activity, when you have all the authority to stop that hazardous event from occurring, but you neglected it, you simply ignored it, okay? So at that particular time, then the liability has shifted from the employer to you individually, because you have that power, you have that responsibility to stop the activities, to stop the unsafe act, but you repeatedly ignored it. So when an accident happens and somebody gets injured at that instance, then the liability is no more on the company. The liability is on you personally. So there are 3 major legal charges that you could face as a safety officer that failed to do your responsibilities. One of them is known as administrative fines or penalties. So you can be fined depending on the country where you are, depending on the applicable rules for that particular country. So you can be fined any amount, okay? You can be penalized. You can be banned from participating or carrying out an activity as a safety officer, okay? So these are some of the administrative fines and penalties that you can face. So the other legal charge that you can face is a civil lawsuit. So there could be a civil lawsuit that could be filed against you by an injured worker. Okay, so, or even the family members that they seek a compensation, they seek for you to compensate them from the damages, the pain, or the suffering that they've been through. So you could face a civil lawsuit filed against you by the injured worker. Okay, then the third legal charge that you can face is criminal charge. So this criminal charge is majorly reserved for most severe events, maybe when somebody have died, or maybe when there is permanent disabling injury, okay? So, or maybe when the environmental degradation was very high due to your negligence, due to your willful disregard of responsibility. So at that particular time, you could be charged with criminal charges, okay? And those criminal charges could lead to imprisonment. It can lead to other higher consequences. So what are the core legal responsibilities of a safety officer? Because we've been talking about what you failed to do, but as a safety officer, what are your core responsibilities? The first major responsibility you have as a safety officer is hazard identification. It's your responsibility to know what are the categories of hazards associated with any activity being done in your workplace. Okay, physical hazard, chemical hazard, electrical hazard, all the categories of hazard. You do not have any excuse to say that I don't know that this is a hazard, or I do not have idea that this can cause harm. So as a safety officer, we are the eye in that workplace to identify hazard. Even the ones that other people do not know as hazard, it's our job to tell them that this is a hazard. Okay, then what is your next legal duty? Advising the management. Remember, in the initial time, from the beginning, I said that the health and safety responsibilities is that of the high management, but it can be delegated. Responsibilities can be delegated. It's only accountability that cannot be delegated, but the management can delegate those responsibilities to you. Okay, so, and when those responsibilities have been delegated to you, then you are left with giving them proper advice. So if you give management wrong advice and they implement it and something goes wrong, you are equally culpable, you're equally liable. Okay, so it's your responsibility to advise the management on risk mitigation measures. Okay, then another legal responsibility you have is to train the workers, conduct necessary trainings to the workers. Okay, then another responsibility that you have legally is enforcement of control measures or enforcement of applicable safety site rules and regulations. So you are responsible for ensuring that everyone complies with the company's policies, company's procedures, and company's laid down rules as far as health and safety is concerned. So if anyone is not following, is not complying with safety related rules and regulations, it's your responsibility to ensure that the person complies. Whatever measure, whatever extent you need to go to ensure that that safety laws, safety regulations are enforced, then you have to take all the necessary steps and actions to ensure that they are enforced, that those laws and regulations are enforced. Another legal responsibility of the safety officer is to conduct incident investigations. Remember I said incident. Incident includes the near miss, accident, property damage. So all of them falls under incident in accordance with ISO 45001. So you have to conduct investigations for near misses, conduct investigations for accidents, for property damage, even high risk activities. So you have to conduct incident investigation, identify lesson learned, the root cause, and then communicate this to every employee in that workplace. This is one of the legal responsibilities of a safety officer, among other ones. Okay, so what are the major shields that a safety officer can have? We have talked about your what you are capable of, what could take you to prison, but what can guide you? What are those things that you as a safety officer can put in place that will protect you from going to prison or going to jail? One of them is comprehensive documentation. You document everything. Verbal communication followed by documented communication. Okay, it's very important to communicate verbally. The importance of verbal communication cannot be overemphasized. Okay, it gives immediate feedback. It ensures that people understand the instruction and those. But after that verbal communication, follow it up with a documented written communication. This cannot be overemphasized because you're at workplace and you don't know when an incident would happen. And when it happens and the management tries to pull off their hands and shift it towards you, your documentation becomes your only form of defense. But the only wrong side of this is that some safety officers focus only on documentation and do not do the physical work or do not do the verbal communication. So when you document, ensure that you engage verbally as well. Ensure that you engage on site physically with others. Okay, then the next thing that can shield you is formal hazard reports. When you identify hazards, when you go for site inspections and you observe, you have your observations, do not just send it on WhatsApp. Do not just send it over the call or over the phone or describe it. You have to prepare formal inspection report. Okay, this is one of the ways that can help to shield you at the rainy days when there is need for you to protect yourself or defend yourself legally. Then another thing that you must not fail to do is sign training records. After you have finished, after you have completed any training, ensure that the workers or the delegates put their signature. There's one wrong practice that many people do, especially when you conduct trainings over online. Okay, you simply write their names and there is no column for signature. This is very wrong. Even when you conduct your meetings, okay, you simply write the name of attendees and there is no column for signature. This is also wrong. You have to ensure that there is signature signed on each of your training records. This is one of the ways that can shield you on the rainy days when you need to defend yourself in the court. Then another thing that can help you is to budget requests. When you have made requests for budgets, when you have made requests for PPE, when you have made requests for equipment to be changed and all those things, ensure that it's properly documented. Okay, ensure that if eventually it was not delivered or the finance was not approved, but that your budget request could also be a savior for you on the rainy day. When they could bring up a case against you for negligence or maybe for being docile, then you can be able to prove your point that you have made requests for all the necessary items or all the necessary equipment that could help to improve the health and safety in the workplace. But those requests were not honored. So have your budget requests properly documented. Okay, then another shield that you can have as a safety officer is your corrective actions. Sometimes, or some of us, when you have implemented corrective actions, you simply move on. You are happy that everything has been rectified. No, you have to keep record of your corrective actions implemented. That is what we call closeout reports. Do not be too tired or too weak to say that we have corrected it, then let it go. Prepare your report, your corrective actions that you have taken, keep it safe, file it where you are supposed to file it. This could be a savior for you on the rainy day. I've seen instances where safety officers have closed out a particular issue, and the next day somebody reopened that issue again. Then maybe the client observed it 3 days ago, and you cannot be able to prove that you've closed out this issue, you've been able to rectify this issue. Corrective action has been taken on this issue, but you do not have that evidence. So you, after taking your corrective actions, ensure you have an evidence to keep. This can also be a savior for you on the raining day. So management of risk in the workplace should come from the top. This will make it easy as a safety officer to discharge your responsibility. So one of your targets is to ensure that you get a buy-in of the management. Do not think that you can succeed when you are in loggerhead with the management, or if you are always quarreling with the management, you cannot succeed. So for you to succeed as a safety officer in your workplace, okay, ensure that you are in good terms, communication terms, and properly understanding with the management. So ensure that the management buys in that your level of health and safety management that you want to implement, okay? Then the next thing is to formally escalate issues, okay? Escalate issues formally and ensure that those issues that you've escalated reaches the highest authority, especially health and safety issues. You know that health and safety policy is signed by the highest authority in the organization, right? So when it's signed by the highest authority, it means that the implementation should also flow from the top. So when you have health and safety issues, it's not what the lower management handled, especially when it has to do with policy-related issues. You must ensure that it gets to the top management, okay? Then you should understand your coverage, understand the level where you are supposed to cover, understand what are your limitations, okay? And know when to pass the ball to the high management. Do not try to fix everything yourself or try to put everything under your control. So know exactly when that particular issue is beyond you and it needs to be pushed to the management, okay? That will help you to ensure that health and safety is being managed from the top. Okay, so this is where I end my presentation, and I know my colleagues here have other points that they will add. So thank you very much for listening. All right, the floor is open for further contributions.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Orlando.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for this topic. It's just when I saw the topic, I said I cannot afford to miss it. It's actually something that it's a topic that really speaks to us and an eye opener, because knowing and unknowingly, many of us sometimes, even when we are aware of the law and implication that guides our profession, most time we are carried away by the work itself and our fear of not being punished for implementing the health and safety roles and responsibility that is tied to us. That being said, Mr. Johnson has actually uh, done justice to the topic, covering extensively almost all the areas as far as I'm concerned. I just want to give some case studies that I have I'm privileged to under to hear about, witness, and directly involved. Sometimes in 2018, 19, there was a case in Abu Dhabi of a safety officer uh, who was jailed because of negligence after investigation. So what happened? A worker was working at height. Am I audible? Okay. A worker was working at height, and I think a height of above 15 meters to 20 meters. Then he was wearing full body harness, but he was not anchoring. So the safety officer spotted him and said, "Put on your safety harness." Then he walked away to maybe some other activities. Something draw his attention, walk away from the area. Not, I think in the blink of an eye, the guy fell and he passed on. So uh, there was no remedy, no chance for his recovering, and he was pronounced dead uh, while on arrival to the hospital. So they instituted the student investigation report. Uh, at the end of the day, to cut the long story short, the company says just as you have highlighted that these duties are delegated, and when the employer can prove beyond reasonable doubt that they have done their part, the safety officer or the safety manager can be persecuted for negligence. So in this case, that was exactly what happened. They were able to prove beyond reasonable doubt in the court that they have hired a professional, because that is what that was the statement of the employer, that they have hired a professional for that duty, and he failed to perform his duty. That was why this guy, the worker, died. So what happened thereafter was the guy was held responsible. The company totally washed their hand off him, and in this region, I think in GCC there is what is called blood money. When somebody died, there is it died in the active duty, is liable to about 200,000 Qataria as a compensation paid to the deceased family or so. So that money was transferred, that body was transferred to the safety officer. So the story was very prominent, and I believe some other persons who are listening may be aware of it. So even the matter came to our website where they were sourcing for funds to gather the 200,000 dirham to pay as the blood money. So concerned people donated, and that was how the guy was released. And the other implication was that he was bound to come to enter the country for another 4 years or so, 2 years or thereabout. His license has to be seized and all that. So that is one case. I can go on and on. And so my own personal experience also, not quite long, this is also a case that involved me, that almost led me into trouble at the workplace. So I so much enjoy this topic, and it's an eye opener to every one of us to make sure that, say, sometimes uh, the employer look some employer sees you as the safety officer as just a collateral to defend whatever their activities. But in your own part, you have to make sure that you execute your job according to the law, because whether we like it or not, we are on the side of the law. If we neglect it, it may catch up with us. And also, we are not just going to be working as people who are like collateral, but we are there to uh, make sure that the business uh, improve the company. Just as Mr. Justin has highlighted, you have to work professionally, not fighting with the organization, but uh, mentoring, advising, and making them know the value for health and safety, which can uh, bring return on investment. With that, the management team, we appreciate uh, our duty as health and safety officers on whichever capacity that we are working. So thank you so much, Mr. Justin and everyone.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for that wonderful contribution.
All right. I think I want to chip in something. Can you get me?
Yeah, you're loud enough.
Yeah, I think Mr. Johnson has said most of the legal framework that and the legal responsibility that us as SHIS professionals, health and safety professionals, we have to be aware of when discharging our duties. I just want to pick on the point about the issue about duty to care. It's a very, very heavy concept when it comes to law, and in particularly the health and safety profession. Um, us as a company or as health and safety professionals, we might need, as Mr. Johnson said, to demonstrate that we have taken reasonable care not to cause foreseeable harm to those around us. And I would like to use the case. There is one famous case in the UK because this issue about the duty to care came in existence because of one famous case that happened in the UK. It's known as Donegal versus Stevenson. That is where the concept of duty to care came into popularity, where there were two guys, there were two people who were in a relationship, and they went to one bar to get a drink, a guy and a lady. So when they went there, they drank the drink that was given to them. And on finishing that drink, they realized that at the bottom of that drink, there was a decaying snails. So, and when this happened, it made the fiance of the guy very sick, and he had to sue that company uh, uh, that manufactured these beverages. So when they went to court, the manufacturing company, the most popular defense that he was giving to the court was, okay, I sold this drink. I did not sell it to the guy. I sold it only to the girl. So why is it that the guy got sick and then you are suing me? So what the court said is that that manufacturing company should have taken reasonable care to see that all measures are taken in place to prevent that snails from getting into that drink. So because of that lack of that duty to care, it led to the exposure of the guy, and which caused him to sick. So, and the case was given in favor of the person who was suing. So what am I trying to say here? It's very, very important that us as health and safety professionals, we make sure that on our part, we have taken the reasonable care to make sure that we make people safe by preparing, by making sure that we have records, by making sure that we have the necessary training, as Mr. Our moderator said, and also by making sure that, especially the aspect about the budget. When you highlighted the aspect about the budget, it really caught my mind, because sometimes we can also use that part to prove that the company does not want to commit in providing the resource. And if you don't have the resource, how can you implement the safety? So this is just what I want to add as a contribution of how we health and safety professionals can protect ourselves from any legal framework. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. Thank you for your wonderful contribution. Now, if someone else wants to talk, you can raise your hand while I add few points. Now, see, in duty of care is one aspect of the responsibility that is too vague in the sense that it's something that can take different shapes and different dimensions, especially when lawyers start debating on this. Now, what do I mean by that? The duty of care could simply mean that you are responsible for whatever shouldn't have happened to him. Okay, the duty of care simply could mean that since you are at proximity with that person, you are supposed to be able to see this harm coming to him and be able to prevent it. Okay, duty of care could also mean that as somebody walking close to you, if he's making mistakes, if he's taking wrong steps, if he's taking wrong actions, you are responsible for correcting him, letting him know that what he's doing could get him harmed. Okay, so it's as simple as that, that in whatever angle that you're able to look at it, that you can easily be caught as failing in your duty of care. Okay, so that is why we are saying that in as much as we have to give verbal corrections, we have to give verbal communications, giving like a warning letter, it doesn't mean that you hate that worker but that is also a point to prove your duty of care, that you have taken reasonable actions to make sure that he does not repeat this, or he doesn't get harm while carrying out this activity. Okay, some people, you might think maybe you want to pity him, you don't want to put any record on ground to show that he's not following safe system of work. But that could also be the only savior that you yourself will have. If there is eventually an accident that gets him killed, that alone, that warning letter alone, could prove that you have demonstrated duty of care. You have tried to caution him, you have tried to correct him, you have tried to ensure that he doesn't repeat those unsafe acts again. So let us take our documentation serious. You can give verbal corrections, give verbal instructions, but find a way to document it. Find a way to make sure that it's written down. Okay, so this can help to prove that you are taking adequate duty of care. Okay, then let's take, for instance, when you go to the a workplace, when they are carrying out an activity and you come to inspect that location. So it could be that you didn't find any hazard there. You did not, there is no observation there, everything is okay. But what is the evidence that will prove that you were at that point? Okay, what if an accident happens and the management decide to raise an objection that you never inspected the workplace, that you didn't actually go there? So that is the concept where we said that you can countersign on the permit to work. Okay, in as much as the authorized person have approved the permit and they have taken the permit to site. Okay, but when you visit that workplace, when you visit that location, you did not find any observation, you didn't find any thing to record, right? So, but what proves, what leaves a mark behind that you were at that point? So coming to that point to inspect that place, you have proven, you have demonstrated your duty of care. But what if there is no evidence? What if there is no written document to show that you have visited that location, that you have inspected it? Okay, so this art of documentation is not really that we are focused on protecting ourselves, but the fact is that people can make mistakes that will now rob another person. So when that person makes the mistake and is trying to rob you, what do you have to defend yourself? What do you have to exonerate yourself? Especially when you know that diligently you have done your job, you are so eager to carry out your job, you have observed, you have recommended, but at the end, something went wrong. So you must have something to back yourself up. So that is what I wanted to talk more about. Okay, David, go ahead.
Good evening, all.
Good evening, sir. Long time.
Good evening.
It's been, yeah, I've been tied up with some things. Well, regarding this this topic today, I just want to share an experience. Maybe I want to share an experience I had some time ago in my place of work. So during the normal site routine, I observed something, a work location with improper access. The access to the work location was very poor. So I just took the picture, I raised it on the group. I tagged the responsible person to make the necessary rectification and left that area to another place. And after some few hours, an accident occurred in that area where someone fell and broke his arm and had a 21 days sick leave. So the company was asking why was there no action from the safety? Did it mean that there was no safety that spotted this? I told them that this could have been prevented. That since they didn't give us enough power to like stop the activity, that this could have been avoided. So if this activity was suspended till rectification was done, this would not have happened. So after further deliberation, they now give us the full authority to stop anything that we see that is unsafe. That now we have the power to stop, to kick out who is not following, to suspend the work, that they have no issue with that. So because they found out that this issue was raised, But because of their own quest for progress, their own quest for at the pace which they are going, they don't want anything to stop them. This uh, incident happened, and the top management were not happy about it. So sometimes the documentation or proof in our work goes a long way to like give us a kind of a backup when an accident happens. It's not really that we are trying to defend ourselves, but it shows that we know exactly what we are doing. So that simple act alone gave us more power to do our work efficiently by suspending anything we feel is unsafe in the workplace. So I feel this is my contribution based on my experience, and I feel this will help us as safety practitioners to carry out our work efficiently with confidence in the workplace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. David. Thank you for that real life experience. Any other contribution?
Yes, can I come in?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
All right. Good evening to everyone. Thank you for the excellent delivery. It was an interesting topic, and you delivered it very well. You were able to touch and cover everything. However, I just want to add a point to your last contribution that you made. Actually, it's just something that we do on our own construction site. You know what we implement on weekly basis, and is also part of our KPIs. Okay, and as well as our action HSC activity plan for weekly, right? So we have a checklist that we call we refer to as a focused inspection. I'm pretty sure that for those of us who are working in any of the Qatar projects, we are very much aware of these two. You know, it's a checklist, right? So these checklists, they are designed based on HST critical activities that is being carried out in the construction site. So, for example, depending on your work scope, right, on the site, that would determine which of the focus inspection checklists you are picking to take to the site to conduct your compliance, your compliance inspection or compliance audit, as the case may be. So, like in our own site, most of the activity that are very much prevalent on the site is confined space, excavation, water tight, lifting. So on weekly basis, we might just choose to say, okay, let's do a focused inspection on working at height, you know. So we pick the checklist, we go as a team, we conduct the inspection, and after the inspection, it depends. If we are able to identify any gap, those gaps are highlighted, they are noted. Report is, a report is being prepared and sent out to the action party, responsible person who is supposed to close out those action. We don't rest. We keep following up until those observations, are closed out. So we do this basically for all activities that we know are critical on the site. And that's a very good evidence. It helps us to, control the site very well. And it's a very good evidence, to document in case of anything when a question is pop up, what action has safety taken or done regarding any safety concern. We'll be able to refer to that focus inspection that has been conducted. We do it, and even the client does it also. So I just want to ship this in, apart from all other things we do as safety evidence we have. But for me, this is a major importance I attach to that focus inspection. So I don't know, just a suggestion. If it's something maybe we are not doing in our workplace, we could adopt these tool, this initiative. It will also help. Not just for this purpose, we do it in order to improve, the safety performance of the site and to keep the site safe for the workers. Thank you. This is my own contribution.
Thank you very much, Mr. David. Thank you for your contribution and for your active participation and for sharing your knowledge with us, because we are here to learn from each other, and it's a pleasure to have learned from all of us. Mr. Jude, are you with us? Do you have something to add? We are closing for the day. David is asking if you can share some sample of focus inspection. So, David, you can ask in the WhatsApp group, okay? So he will.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this wonderful message. You understand? Because today is my first time of joining, and I've learned a lot. It's a kind of a reminder, a wake-up call for me. Because a couple of times there are things that even when we know that we are supposed to do this, because of maybe the place we are working, the support from the management and the rest of them, we turn us to be lazy at the end of the day. We get to neglect. So this kind of meeting now is reminding me that neglecting such responsibility will expose me to getting very close to jail. So I'm very, very happy to be part of this. And because in Qatar, precisely, nothing is stable. So you can be an engineer tomorrow, and next tomorrow you become an officer. So it goes up and down. And currently, I am working in a site where I am a safety supervisor. And there are challenges, a lot of challenges that we face on site because of management commitment. Not every company want to really support because they don't see it as a profit. It doesn't profit the company to really get safety. But like you said, that our work look like we are being put at the war front, to cover, to shield them, to shield the management. You will never know until something happens. And when it happens, you will now know how important you are in that company. Especially when they want to push the blame on you, when they want to, like you said, that, okay, this is a guy that we employ. We have employed a professional to handle this for us. So when it comes to health and safety now, we are the ones that are protecting the company. So when something like this happens now, they will push us at the front. So in a situation whereby we most time our hands are tied, and some of these companies, they don't even want reporting formats. They don't want to give you the opportunity to report to them because they know what they are doing. They know that the moment you pass report to them, you have that blame is already out of you. You have shifted it to their table to solve a problem for them to solve. You understand? So these are some of the challenges that we face on site, which the only mode of communication that we can pass our message and advice is through WhatsApp communication. So my question is, although WhatsApp communication is legal, it can be used as an evidence. Can it be used as an evidence? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Everybody is hearing you. We are thinking about what you're saying. But over reliance on WhatsApp is very, very bad. One,
So what?
there's
Okay.
no signature. Just look at the instance that David, when he talked about the incident that happened. Okay, he tagged somebody on WhatsApp. Okay, the person is supposed to take responsibility, but he didn't take responsibility. That person can prove beyond reasonable doubt that his phone is not with him.
Yes.
That his phone is in the office and he's in the site.
Yeah.
So he didn't sign anywhere. He didn't sign that he has received the observation. And then the blame will remain with the safety. So WhatsApp is, except if the person replies you, even if the person replies you, when an incident happens, the management, they can go as far as cleaning up the entire WhatsApp chat. You understand? They can go as far as even closing down the WhatsApp group to prove a point that there was no communication, that you didn't communicate to them. Okay, so we should not rely solely on WhatsApp, because when it becomes so serious, then WhatsApp will not be able to save us.
Like
if I may shift
there
in
was
something.
Yeah.
Mr. Jude. So
Yeah,
just to add to what the question you asked. Yes, the WhatsApp this thing is, we can consider it as a kind of informal internal communication medium. Like you have pointed out something that most of these organizations, they actually do not want you to report to them, and in most cases, that is the challenge most of us face with different companies who do not really put safety as core value. But so as health and safety practitioner, what does that mean to us? If we find ourselves in such organization, we need to institute our system. There's a way you can go about it, because it's a work in progress. There are some companies who does not have, they have almost zero safety culture, because safety is not, they don't value safety as you have said, they don't see it as profitable and all that. But if you find yourself in such situation, or if you are in one, you try to kind of establish a process of improvement, a continuous improvement. Like you can put your documentation in order. Gradually, you can make cause the management team to buy in. Like I found myself in such situation before, but with this gradual effort, there was an improvement. Sometimes in my own cases, I even received threats of repatriation. Somebody telling me that, look, I will not just throw you out of this company, I will throw you out of Qatar. You understand?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
yes. It got to the point that when maybe they are doing lifting, or they want to lift some loads, and the lifting is very unsafe. By the time safety tries to intervene, they will tell you, if you stop the job, I will I will sack you. And nobody wants to lose a job maybe at that particular time and such thing. So in
Yes.
that situation, but I develop a system where anybody that says, okay, stop the job, I will say, okay, I prepared a form, sign that you're authorizing the job, put your signature here. With that, they will say, no, I cannot. They know they will not put their signature. Then they
They
have
won't.
to,
They won't.
yes, with that, gradually, we put that in place, and we saw improvements. So we developed a lot of forms and checklists. We try to compare them to allow the workers come for safety training. So even at the time, the workers were resistant, but they came to appreciate it, and there was improvements. So that is just what I
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
contribute.
What you are saying, you are very very right, because that is what I did too. You know, trying to see how I can still make them responsible for any action that I consider unsafe on site. You know, and they want to go ahead with the activity. But at the end of the day, it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but we are still trying to see how we can balance everything, because we still need the money. At the end of the day, they are our employer, you know. So that is just it. But we are trying, and I really like this meeting, you know, and I appreciate. I appreciate. It's a good one. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot, and I appreciate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jude. Thank you for joining us today. And please continue to join us. We have a
Yeah.
lot to learn from you, and you have a lot to learn from us as well.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. I think we have come to the end of today's discussion. So thank you all for joining.
Yeah, Mr. Johnson, just for this, I will need a certificate as usual. For a long time, I didn't request. I will
Okay.
catch you anyway.
All right. No problem.
Yeah, because we are using it for our CPD, you know.
Yes.
CPD,
Yes. Yeah,
Mm.
I use it for my CPDs.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Bye, yo,
Thank you very
please.
much, everybody. Thank you. Amara, thank you for joining. See you next time.
All right, bye, everyone.
Bye,
Have a
everyone.
nice
Bye.
weekend.
Bye.
Good night.